Have you ever wondered if there's maybe a timeless secret, to attracting abundance, health, success? What if principles from ages ago could actually still transform your life today, even with everything going on?
It's a fascinating question, isn't it?
It really is. And today, we're diving deep into a book that claims just that. Prosperity Secrets of the Ages. It's by Catherine Ponder, who is, well, quite remarkable.
She certainly is. And this book is a companion to her earlier classic, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity.
Right. And this deep dive is part of our Deep Seek Diary series. We try to unearth these profound insights, from books that promise to simplify things and give actionable wisdom.
Yeah, distill it down.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our mission today is to give you a shortcut, sort of, to understanding these prosperity principles, not just theories, but real, practical steps.
Steps drawn from some pretty surprising historical and spiritual places.
Spot on. It's all about pulling out that transformative wisdom for your life.
Makes sense.
Okay, before we jump in deeper, just a quick heads up. If you like what you're hearing, please do hit subscribe and maybe the like button too.
Helps us out.
It does. We're the Deep Seek Diaries. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, all the usual spots and all the resources. The book itself, everything we talk about, it's linked down in the description for you.
Easy to find.
Yep. Oh, and please check our terms and conditions when you get a chance. Right, now settle in. Let's unravel some ancient secrets.
Let's do it.
So let's kick things off by really digging into the core philosophy here. Prosperity Secrets of the Ages.
Right.
The book's mission seems pretty bold to reveal, and I'm quoting here, techniques for riches that were invoked by great minds down through the ages.
It's a big claim.
It is. Now, when Ponder says riches, is she just talking dollars and cents, or is it broader?
Well, that's what's so interesting. Ponder positions herself, and many see her, as one of the great metaphysical writers of the 20th century. Think people like Dr. Joseph Murphy.
Okay, yeah, the power of your subconscious mind.
Exactly, and earlier figures, too, like Thomas Trode, Florence Scovel Shinn, pioneers in New Thought.
Right, visualization, affirmations, that kind of thing.
Precisely, and her unique angle is showing how each of us uses metaphysics every single day, often without realizing it.
Okay, so metaphysics isn't just dusty philosophy then, in her view.
Not at all. For Ponder, it's very practical. It's understanding how our thoughts, our beliefs, our sort of spiritual alignment directly shapes our reality, our outcomes.
And she connects this to the Bible.
Yes, she finds these powerful metaphysical laws kind of embedded within biblical texts, often overlooked ones, and shows how using them can genuinely transform, well, ourselves and our lives.
Which brings us to that subtitle, How to Channel a Golden River of Riches into Your Life. That sounds very direct.
It really does grab you, doesn't it? It suggests, like you said, something actionable, not just thinking about it.
Yeah, like an instruction manual.
Right. And the book itself is often described as a dynamo of metaphysical knowledge, which paints a picture of, like, concentrated energy.
A dynamo, I like that.
Yeah. And it covers a whole range of secrets way beyond just money. She talks about things like magnetic prayer.
Magnetic prayer, what's that exactly?
It's not just asking, it's more about aligning your whole being, your vibration with what you desire. Seeing it as already here.
Ah, okay. Manifestation, essentially.
Kind of, yeah. She gives specific affirmations, often rooted in scripture but framed metaphysically, to build that magnetic mindset. Things like, I am open and receptive to all the good that life has for me now.
So practical tools right there.
Exactly, grounding the abstract. And then she also covers things like eternal health, restoration, blessing, power, protection. It's really holistic.
It sounds incredibly comprehensive. And this central idea she has, that success attitudes can lick every type of problem. That's a huge claim. Relationships, health, money, family, mental confusion, emotional stuff, spiritual uncertainty. She thinks attitude can fix all that.
It is a huge claim. But her perspective is that these aren't isolated fixes. It's about a fundamental shift in your mental and spiritual approach. And that shift then naturally ripples out into all these other areas. Does she say there are limits? Not explicitly. But the emphasis is always, always on persistent, conscious application.
So the limit might be our own willingness to stick with it.
That seems to be the implication. Setbacks aren't failures of the principles. They're maybe chances to double down on your commitment, you know? It's bigger than just getting rich. It's about transforming your whole life by aligning with these, well, universal laws as she sees them.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. How does she actually structure all this wisdom? How does she make it accessible? You mentioned the Bible.
Yeah, and the book is, as you said, unashamedly Bible-based. It definitely uses biblical stories as metaphors.
Which could put some people off, maybe.
It could, but here's where Ponder is really clever, I think. She's incredibly good at pulling out clear and valuable lessons and affirmations from these old stories.
Yeah.
And the way she does it, for a lot of readers, the actual the Bible story itself kind of becomes irrelevant. What matters is the clarity and the power of the guidance she extracts.
So she's not preaching doctrine, she's mining for universal principles.
Exactly that. She might take a story, say, about miraculous provision and translate it metaphysically, like the universe responding to need when belief is activated. She lights up the metaphysical meaning of verses with real-world examples of how they work now.
Making ancient texts feel current.
Very current and applicable, regardless of your own religious background or lack thereof.
And what really stood out for me, looking through it, was the number of affirmations. Many useful affirmations spread throughout the text. It feels very hands-on.
Absolutely. That's a massive strength. People reviewing it constantly mention the clarity, the practicality, the affirmations, the examples of real people using intention to manifest things.
So it's not just theory.
Not at all. Ponder has this real gift for keeping you hooked, wanting to know more. She guides you. And yeah, the book definitely delivers on its promise by giving you these actionable tools, things that feel, well, empowering.
So for you listening, what does this mean practically? Ponder isn't just saying think positive thoughts.
No, it's more structured.
Right. She gives specific things to do. Visualizing with feeling, journaling affirmations, maybe even symbolic actions. All designed to get your subconscious lined up with what you consciously want.
Using that creative power of thoughts to attract more money, opportunities, and other good things.
Yeah. And when you start actually doing these things, putting the secrets into action, it feels like you're taking a real, tangible, positive step.
It does. But what really sets this apart for me and what she really stresses is the persistence.
Ah, yes. The sticking with it.
Exactly. She says, you have to stay on track, though, and persist. Listen to the ideas and try to not settle down to old ways of living or thinking. It's not magic. It's a commitment.
A new way of being, almost.
That's a good way to put it, like dedicating time each day, even just a few minutes for visualization or affirmations. Consistently. Building those new mental pathways.
Which really leads to the question of how you maintain that persistence when life throws curveballs at you.
Yeah, right. She gives the map, but you still have to do the walking. Consistent, disciplined effort is definitely on the individual.
Okay, we're about midway through this deep dive, and I hope you're finding these ideas as interesting as we are.
Lots to think about.
Definitely. Just a quick reminder, if you are enjoying the Deep Seek Diaries, please do subscribe. Maybe like the video. It really helps.
It does.
You can find us on all the major social platforms. And again, all the resources, the book links, everything are in the description below.
Cool.
Right. So let's talk about who this book is actually for, and maybe who it isn't for. Who's the target audience here?
Well, broadly, it's aimed at people interested in metaphysical ideas, what's often called New Thought philosophy.
Okay. Positive thinking, spiritual laws.
Yeah, that whole area. Anyone looking for a maybe spiritual path to prosperity, personal and financial. People who want to change their life in so many ways using intention and positive thought.
Seems straightforward enough.
But here's a really key point Ponder makes. You do not have to be Christian to read her books. She respects Judaism too, acknowledges insights originating there.
That's important. It broadens the appeal hugely.
It really does. Makes it accessible to a much wider spiritual audience, or even just spiritually curious people.
So, despite the Bible focus, it's not exclusively for Christians. That's a crucial distinction.
Absolutely.
But what about someone who's still a bit wary of the biblical stuff, even used metaphorically? Does she offer any other ways to understand these principles?
That's a fair question. While the Bible is her main source for metaphors, the core message, thought power, affirmation, universal law, well, that's found in tons of traditions worldwide.
So she points that out.
Yeah, she often mentions historical figures or other cultures that practice similar ideas. It shows the universality of it all. So even if the biblical language isn't your thing, the underlying concepts of, conscious creation and aligning with abundance, they're presented as universal truths.
Making them accessible to anyone open to exploring, well, the power of their own mind.
Exactly. So who might it not be for? Probably someone strictly opposed to any spiritual or biblical references, however metaphorical. Or maybe someone wanting purely secular nuts and bolts financial advice. This goes deeper than that.
Got it. Okay, let's look at how the wider community received it. Those Amazon reviews are quite telling, aren't they?
They really are. The overall vibe is massively positive. 4.7 out of 5 stars from 143 global ratings. That's seriously impressive.
Wow, 4.7 is high.
It is. And get this, 86% of reviewers gave it 5 stars. Another 9% gave 4 stars. That shows really strong satisfaction.
So what are people consistently praising?
Its transformative power comes up again and again. People call it excellent, very positive, uplifting, surprisingly useful. They love the clarity, the practicality, and, as we said, the affirmations. Lots of comments about real shifts in thinking and actual results.
Real-world results, that's key. Now, there was one reviewer, Carrie, who mentioned it feeling very American and of its time, too. Written in the 60s, revised in the 80s, though published later. How did people seem to react to that potential issue of it being dated?
Yeah, that's a fair point to raise. But it seems most reviewers, like Carrie herself actually, looked past that. She admitted being a true Brit, somewhat adverse to church-based religion, but found that Ponder extracts some clear and valuable lessons and affirmations. So the source became irrelevant to me as I related to the clarity and power of the essence of her guidance.
So the core message transcended the context.
It seems so. It makes you think, doesn't it? How these universal truths about thought and intention aren't really bound by time or culture. The power is in the principle, not the publication date.
Good point. But there was also that really quite moving review from Liberty Dog Productions.
Ah, yes, that one stood out.
It really did. They talked about reading Ponder since they were a teen, finding so much positive ways to change your thinking, but then described facing really tough stuff: illness, being cheated financially, violence, difficult family, even while trying to apply the principles.
Yeah.
It highlights that challenge, doesn't it? Applying these ideas even when other people do not practice those principles, and you have to live in a society or a household of people that are less than nice and trustworthy.
It's such a crucial real-world point. And it's not really a knock on the book itself, is it? It's more about the messy reality of life and interacting with others who aren't on the same page.
Exactly. It's the friction between internal practice and external reality.
Right. But even facing all that adversity, that reviewer still found immense value. They said, every book by Catherine Ponder, though, gives hope, insight, and puts you back in charge, even amidst difficult people.
Puts you back in charge. That's powerful.
Isn't it? They stressed persistence, holding on to the core idea that you deserve it all, and ended with that amazing line, live in the light, prosper, heal, be well, and know love.
Wow.
It shows that even when the outside world is chaotic, that core message of self-empowerment, of positive intention, it can still be an anchor, a source of resilience.
So Ponder's work, in that light, is maybe about cultivating an internal state of prosperity first and foremost.
I think that's a great way to see it, an internal state that empowers you, regardless of what's happening externally.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive, it feels exceptionally clear that Prosperity Secrets of the Ages really does offer powerful tools and mindsets. Timeless wisdom, surprisingly relevant now.
Absolutely.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Maybe consider how these secrets, these old principles, could be consciously woven into your modern life.
How you can use them to navigate today's challenges.
Exactly, to intentionally live in the light, prosper, heal, be well, and know love, as that reviewer put it, which raises a big question, really.
Mm-hmm.
In this constantly shifting, complex world we're in, how can we adapt and, crucially, consistently apply these timeless truths to really manifest the abundance we deserve? And not just money, but abundance in health, relationships, peace of mind, everything.
Yeah. It really comes back to recognizing what's in your control, doesn't it? External stuff can be unpredictable, but your internal state, your consistent application of these ideas, that's yours.
The book gives the framework.
A powerful framework, yeah, for building that empowered mindset. It offers a path to resilience, to fulfillment, no matter the obstacles.
Well, we really hope you've enjoyed today's deep dive from the Deep Seek Diaries.
Hope it gave you some food for thought.
Definitely. Please don't forget to check out the resources. The book link is right there in the description.
Easy click.
And if you found this useful, please hit subscribe and the like button before you go if you haven't already.
We'd appreciate it.
We would. Until our next episode, goodbye for now.